It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Something horrifying. Something unspeakably evil. No one believes you.
Mom, I didn't have a nightmare.
Not your mom.
They did kill a girl over there.
Not your girlfriend.
Charlie, is this some sort of a trick to get me back?
Tonight, it is every hunter for themselves.
Good luck. I'll be rotting for you.
But one of you is a monster, masquerading as one of our own. I can't wait to find out what breed of evil you are.
Greater delights await. Wish to see you proceed. Feed it. Their blood, their pain. All for us. What is it you pray for?
This Organized Chaos podcast is brought to you by listeners like you. Thank you. Hello and welcome to an Organized Chaos podcast. Once again, choosing the best podcast ever for your listening pleasure. Well, good choice to those listening. Good choice. I think the only thing better than our podcast is our humility. Joining us is Bobby, as always, and CP. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Hi. I'm existing.
Yes. Thank you for joining us, CP. Last minute guest coming in. George was supposed to be here, but he forgot about something. So CP jumped in. It was like, awesome. Thank you, dude.
My pleasure. And I'm going to be calling Bobby Rob because my brain doesn't work right. So you're Bob, he's Rob. I'm sorry, that's the way it's going to be. So
yeah,
that's fine.
That's the thing, CP.
It's my own thing.
We have these guests on here that break the patterns. We like to only have white guys by the name of Robert on this podcast. It's just how we roll, okay?
It just happens.
I broke the mold.
Yeah.
This is outside our comfort zone. We have to figure out a way around it, but today we actually have pretty much an all Halloween episode except for a little bit of the news. We'll be covering 1931's Frankenstein. We got 1985's Fright Night. And then two new releases, Werewolf by Night, which I literally thought was coming out next year. And all of a sudden I hear that it's out on Friday. I'm like, what? They literally just announced that last month. How's that out already?
And it premiered at Austin.
Yeah, just a few days ago, I think. And it was like, what? Huh? And then we got the new release that I was actually expecting, the new Hellraiser. We'll get to our thoughts on those. But before we get to that, got some news stories to talk about. So I was going to start out with a little bit about Dr. Oz, who apparently got...
Did he get canceled? Did the show get canceled?
Well, the show is actually ending, I believe, this season, but... because of the whole Senate run thing. He has been ridiculous. This whole Senate run's been kind of a joke, I feel. Like, number one, he should be slam dunking this with just name recognition alone, and he's getting his ass handed to him quite readily by Fetterman. And
someone who on paper shouldn't be handing his ass to him.
No, not at all.
The guy literally had a stroke.
Yeah,
and he's still winning.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, maybe it's the sympathy vote.
Yeah, he's in bad health, but I'm voting for him anyway.
Yeah. Well, it just recently came out that Dr. Oz liked to do lots of animal experiments, which is apparently over 300 dogs have died in his animal experiments. So it's a violation of quite a few regulations. And I'm having trouble bringing it up because if I bring it up, you guys will no longer be on video.
Yeah. Fuck him.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck him.
But I just thought it'd be good to bring up Dr. Oz because just looking up his Wikipedia and his politics section of his Wikipedia is actually incredibly interesting. So on abortion, in 2022, during his Senate run, he's announced that, life begins at conception. Prior to 2019, he had supported abortion rights. Although he said he disliked abortion on a personal level, he said he saw the effect of unsafe and illegal abortions prior to Roe v. Wade decision legalizing abortion nationwide. He also noted at the time that he opposed 6-week abortion bans.
How does he feel about animal life? When does that start?
I don't have anything on that one yet, but Jesus. What was the other thing? Oh, yeah, healthcare. Well, that's the thing. At first, when COVID-19 first came out, he initially praised Anthony Fauci for how he handled the pandemic. And since then, he's called him a tyrant.
He's just kind of echoing those same...
Yeah.
In
2022, he said he would vote to repeal the Affordable Health Care Act, when in 2009, he said healthcare should be mandatory and that everybody in America should have health coverage, and if you can't afford it, we have to give it to you.
Yeah, like they're taught that, doctors.
Yeah.
That, it's part of their whole little shtick. Like, bedside manner, patients,
like
all,
do no
all
harm.
that.
Do no.
Yeah. Like
I said, I saw the article about the animals. I was like, oh, what piece of crap. Let's talk about Oz. And I'm just looking up his Wikipedia, and it's like a joke. It's like he used to have positions, but now they've all changed just to align with the standard right-wing Republican positions. He's not a person anymore. He just spouting out these points.
MAGA, the MAGA wing of the Republican Party. It's I used to be on TV. Now I'm running for a seat in office, and everything I said in the past doesn't matter because I'm sponsored by Mr. Orange. Same thing in, I think, Arizona. The woman who's either running for governor or Senate was a newscaster. It's like the Republican Party. You have to have TV credits to run for office, apparly.
Yeah, definitely, at least that.
Are you good on
it seems like it's either that or it's like the PTA Super Karen somehow wins the national seat. Like I'm talking like your Boberts, your Greens, like people who generally, and I'm not going to say that you have to be a certain type of person, but you have to have some sort of education. And, long-standing career within whether local politics, whether it's within your own community, volunteering, or actually holding office or working for someone who holds office, as opposed to just kind of jumping into it and like, I don't get the GOP anymore. I really didn't.
They're like watered down Sarah Palin's, which is
they
really
are
saying something.
Sarah Palin used to be the extreme. I mean, holy shit.
And what was it? Boebert got her GED like a month or a few months before being sworn into office.
Yeah, she's been arrested a couple times too. So
and her husband also exposed himself to some children in a bowling alley too.
Fun fact: that's how they met.
That is how they met.
Is that really?
Women he exposed himself to. What a great way to start a relationship! Her
husband does have several neighborhood or disturbances.
I saw a video about that. Him driving his truck. Yeah,
because he's drunk and harassing their neighbors.
Yeah, like every clip of her, I feel like she's in the wrong industry. Like you want to be a right-wing comedian, I think.
Yeah.
Because she'll do the same as a comedian, as somebody who's done rehearsed bits. I recognize what she's doing, and it's not politics. She's doing shtick. She's doing a bit every time. Like, oh, I need to tell you about this joke that I said to Elon. I can't pronounce her name. Ilhan Omar. Did I get that right?
Sounds right.
That whole elevator story, you could see like 7 different versions of her telling that story, and it's like you're trying your tight 10 is what you're doing. You're not a politician.
You're still hammering the bit out. You're still working it out.
I got to find the laugh line.
Yeah, I got to find what works and what doesn't. But it's remarkable to me that not only that people with like this clear amount of crazy are like elected, but there are people who backed them and like
with money.
Said, yes, they spent money on them. But not only that voted for them, like put their vote, walked into their polling place, cast their vote for them.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is just I don't know if it scares if it makes me scared or sad.
Yeah.
Well, the idiot 14-year-old in me thinks some of them might be voting, oh well, she's kind of attractive. I'd like to look at that for the next 2 years if I have to listen to politics. And I really hope that's not what the case is, but if you were to ask 14-year-old me, which thankfully the age to vote is 18, but if you were to ask 14-year-old me, I'd have nothing but sexy women running the country.
Which is why 14-year-olds shouldn't vote.
Yeah, which is why 14-year-olds don't have the right to vote.
I would be voting with the wrong brain as well. That would be an issue.
Yeah, I'm not going to say I would vote in the right. I would totally, same, all day. But that's why 14-year-olds only take part in mock elections.
Yes.
Santa cock. You're all set over there.
Yeah.
Well, I think it brings up an interesting point because I remember, like, I was around during George W. Bush or H.W. Bush. I mean, I was around, I was younger, but I remember even then, Republicans made sense. I didn't really agree with them a whole lot, but they made sense. Now I just feel like it's completely off the deep end. It's what the fuck?
I'd say the first moment I started paying attention to politics would be, probably after 9/11, because I was in high school when that happened, and that's kind of when I started paying closer attention to a lot of it, because I had a lot of older friends who were telling me, like, this is the time you really need to pay attention to them. It's like, pay attention to like them being the government, pay attention to how they react, what we do, changes we make here, and all that. And so I have like a very clear memory of George W. Bush. I have faint memories of Clinton. And I mean, I just remember the people making fun of HW from being a little kid, but not knowing what any of that meant. But I do.
My lips.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
This aggression will not stand. Yeah, like stuff like that. But paying very close attention to like juniors, like campaign, there's a lot of it that I still strongly am against and despise. But I will say, if I can take that as my comparison and looking back through archival like news footage and debates of former Republicans, of that, I could say that the party is nothing what it once was. I know that when Trump was pretty much running, and like after he had gotten the election in 2016 and a lot of 2017, a lot of people from the right were echoing, like, we need to be more like the Ronald Reagan Republican Party. Like, hearing like the Ronald Reagan Republican phrase being turned around, I go like, well, the difference is Ronald Reagan wouldn't maliciously attack the left. He would cross the aisle to work with the left.
Yeah, he worked with the Russians.
Yes, like, fuck's sakes. I mean, Nixon was questionable, but I mean, the work he did with China was impressive. Like, you cannot. I mean, there's a lot negative you could say about Nixon, but I mean, that was great for our economy at that time, and still it helped move us to the economical state that we were early 2000s.
Oh, yeah. Ever since the end of Carter, as we haven't progressed financially since.
Yeah.
The funny thing
and
about
that man is still building houses to this day.
Dude.
Yeah.
What I respect the most about Jimmy Carter is he had that speech that he said, "Listen, shit's gonna start sucking," and people voted him out because he was like, "Oh, too honest. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Give me somebody that'll tell me something that'll be okay."
Yeah.
And so Ronald Reagan came along and made rich people richer and poor people poorer, and black people got associated with crack because politics.
Because the problem with everybody's life is the people who are powerless are having too much power over you.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right? That makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
We hated W in New York, and then after 9/11, he gave that speech at the site, and he kind of won the state over for a little bit. I mean, he didn't win the state either time he ran, but you know, we were kind of okay. Yeah, we didn't vote for you, but go.
Yeah,
lead us.
Yeah, like get them. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so like I would have called George W. Bush folksy and a little erratic. And we've gone so far past that.
Yeah.
That, like, I would welcome George W. Bush at this point.
I know. I used to think George W. Bush was insane.
Right.
Like, the dumb shit he would say was like, oh my God, you can't get politicians dumber than this, right?
Yeah.
No, they can go way dumber. Holy shit. In fact, that's how they get elected. They go way dumber. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Howard Dean quit because he screamed "yeah" during a campaign speech. What's his name in Minnesota? He quit because there was pictures of him mockingly hovering his hands over a woman's breast.
Oh, Al Franken.
Al Franken, who I wanted to run for president. I really think would have been a really good president. And
I feel like he was just
like,
starting to find his voice in the Senate too.
Right.
He was out.
Right.
It's like
right. For jokes, for the guy who used to write for Saturday Night Live. So, you know, never mind all that. And here on the right side, it just doesn't matter what your past is. You just keep voting no on everything. We'll keep you here.
Yeah. Vote against the rights of other people that you will exploit.
Yeah. And like the fact that all excuse me. Oh, I didn't mean to curse. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse.
Yeah. No fucking cursing, okay?
Okay.
Watch your fucking mouth.
The super hard Second Amendment guys should be ultra pissed because their rallying cry for decades has been, they're going to take our guns, they're going to take our guns, they're going to take our guns. Well, guess what? They took the woman's right to decide. So you're not making a big stink about that. If they can do that, they can do that with your guns. So if you're all about your rights, you would think Republicans would be like, wait a minute, we've got to make sure that this Supreme Court shit re-overturns itself because you know, again, hypocrisy. Just it's just so hypocritical to be like, you can't take my guns, that's my right. But they just took a woman's right to have a choice. That's
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that the party of limited government involvement?
Yes.
Yeah. Correct
They're
me if I'm
pushing
wrong.
for the biggest government of all in all the wrong places. Oh no.
Right.
And didn't a lot of Republican, I believe they were senators, back Italy's recent political move to pretty much make a pseudo-fascist-like government?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
No, but you're absolutely right, CP. If they're so adamant of, like, you know, my cold dead hands, they should realize that if they could take that right away just so easily, they could do it that and not even lose a bit. I mean, so many Republicans voted down that bill to protect their health and well-being, the one that Jon Stewart was backing for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But yet you hear Republicans in any political like campaign ad talking about how they're for veterans.
Mm-hmm.
They back veterans. They
Yeah.
the biggest sacrifice for our country. Like
And
I'm
police
even
officers.
and police officers. as
Unless
well.
it's January 6th, then get out of my fucking way. I need to get into that Capitol.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like it's fucking.
All right.
We've lost
It's
control.
asinine.
Are we ready to move on to something a bit lighter? I guess I don't know if it's
I don't-
lighter.
the
but less
country
political.
Less political.
The country, I don't think is, but
Well,
our
one more
discussion-
point I do want to bring up, and I always like to bring this up, and I'm not trying to like keep bringing or like stoking the fires of hate towards the Orange Man, but it says something that if you are said Orange Man and walk into a room, and somebody who at one point was probably the second most, if not the most hated man in America, that being Dick Cheney, gives you a look like he's ready to shoot you, I think that says something.
And he has shot people.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
He has. On accident, though, guys.
Yeah.
You know, but Cheney's more machine now than man, so.
So, CP, I know you had some thoughts. We're heading into Halloween Ends next weekend. And you had some thoughts towards the fandom.
I don't know. It's not like I had thoughts towards the fandom. Bob, you have spent time with me over the years discussing the business end of the movie business. And I was just putting out tweets because apparently Universal, their embargo is as late as 2 hours before the first showtime of Halloween Ends. And that's, by industry standards, that is a lack of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
intense.
all I said. Yeah, that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's like 2 hours before. It doesn't make sense. And you would have thought I said that without seeing the movie. I know it sucks. And the Halloween, like their fan base, not all of them, of course, not all of them. Very Star Warsian with the volatility that they'd respond to things. I kept telling them that I feel like what we're going through right now is the week before Rise of Skywalker came out, where it was like, I don't know, guys. It doesn't look good. Everything about what they're doing behind the scenes and what's going on with the. I mean, even that movie had a premiere a couple of days before, the release date, and sure the. I don't even remember what the embargo was, but they let critics tell you what they thought about it, and it wasn't them being afraid of the ending getting let out. Like, critics operate on like this honor system where if I spoil something, I'm never going to be invited to anything this studio does again. So the mentality that these super hard, crazy Halloween fans are like, trying to convince themselves, I would assume, that the reason that the embargo is so late is because they don't want the ending to be spoiled. And it's just like, guys, what do you care what other people think? What does it matter what the industry's doing? If you're a fan of a franchise that bad, you're gonna you want to love it going in. That's clear. Cool. But why does it matter what's going on around it? You're getting a brand new Halloween movie. Just enjoy it. Why does somebody saying this looks like a lack of confidence? Just that was the only statement I made, and you would have thought I shot their parents. Like it's so bizarre how defensive they get.
Well, that's the thing. Like, your average studio embargo for like a big budget Marvel, DC, whatever, you're talking 1 to 2 days.
Right.
That's
right.
standard. 2 hours is excessive, and it does speak to lack of studio confidence. It means they don't think they probably don't think they have a good one, honestly.
Yeah, Endgame, which I mean, you want to talk about protecting an ending?
Yeah,
that was 2 days, I think.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the thing, because if they think it's going to get lots of good reviews, they want those reviews out there. They don't want them out there too early, but a couple days before, build up hype, get some reviews out there, get some word of mouth, get people in theaters.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, it doesn't even necessarily mean this movie will be bad. It just essentially means studio execs don't think it's good. Which, I mean, maybe they're onto something, maybe they're not. It's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're co-releasing it on Peacock, so you know
they did that with the last one too. Yeah,
right, right. You know, make all that money on your streaming service, and don't worry about the theaters. I don't understand what the big deal is. I mean, I've witnessed it myself. I mean, if they were to make Star Wars Episode 10, people would still make $1 billion, regardless of how people feel.
Yeah.
So, like, just embrace it. It's a slasher franchise, for Pete's sake.
Yeah.
It's not. We're not redoing Citizen Kane, guys. Like,
I can't wait for Citizen Kane 2, by the way. I've been in anticipation for that one for a long time.
Rosebud Strikes.
But yeah,
it's odd. It's very odd that embargo time. Word of mouth has always driven movies. Always.
That's the biggest driver for movies, actually. I mean, part of Endgame, sure, like people were hyped for Avengers. That's going to help. But also the word of mouth was generally good. People were going saying, hey, you have to go out and watch this movie. That's going to be more of a recommendation than any like little snippet you get from a critic at all.
Right.
So,
right. And critics have traditionally hated horror movies. So why would you worry about what a critic has to say about your horror movie? Everything is suspicious, and nobody in the fandom seems to want to admit it. And it's just, this is coming from somebody who gave Halloween Kills a very positive score. And, you know, I'm just talking about industry stuff. I'm not talking about the film. It's just really weird how defensive they get.
Yeah, and you might be talking to all the other two people on the planet who are like, yeah, Halloween Kills was pretty good.
I enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, there were some choices with it that I would have done differently. Like, I maybe would have worked a little bit harder to get the original Tommy Doyle. Nothing against Anthony Michael Hall. I just don't. He just didn't really do it.
You
for
mean
me.
Paul Rudd?
Well, no, I mean the kid from the original, if possible. If not, I would have thrown more money at Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
Actually, Paul Rudd is a fairly big name, so I mean,
I would have thrown some money.
Yeah,
I
that would have been sweet.
Would have, I don't know, maybe given the survivors a little bit more screen time.
Yes,
given Laurie more of a storyline. I didn't like her being sidelined. Since
that is true. Yeah, I was a little annoyed with that.
Thing, but that's a personal thing. Yeah, and I also would have killed the daughter earlier.
Yeah,
that's just
the ending that I saw was more powerful than the ending that was released.
I guess
I'm not legally obligated to talk about what I saw, but
gotcha.
The ending I saw wasn't much different, but it was certainly more powerful. And I mean, I guess I understand why they went with the ending that they did, because now apparently Ends takes place 4 years later, where the one thing I really liked about Kills was it made me appreciate 2018 more because they flow so well.
Yeah, it was immediately afterwards.
I really
wasn't
liked
even
how
expecting it to be the flow so smoothly.
It really picked up like immediately after. I was like, shit, okay, this is what we're doing. Okay, cool. I'm here for this.
Yeah, like the opening shot is the boyfriend who you didn't know anything of. Like, did he die? What happened to him in the 2018 movie? You know, you don't know what the hell happened.
That really wasn't my reaction when I first saw him. I was like, oh fuck, he's still alive.
But like, at least it was like, all right,
he didn't get hit by some drunks driving around the town yet. See,
at least it was like, okay, we're picking right up.
Yeah,
you need to see 2018 to be on the ball here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I kind of like how they added more to the lore of 1978. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I thought that was a really nice touch. Yeah, the flashback stuff. I thought that was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing. Like, the biggest complaint I really saw about Kills was people didn't like the addition of supernatural stuff. And for me, that almost makes sense because like we're dealing with a guy in his 60s or 70s who's a big horror monster, and you want that to be... Do you want to play that as, like, just a real dude?
Yeah.
Would they prefer a cult? I think the cult. I think they just want a cult instead.
Yeah. They want 6. They want part 6 all over again.
Yeah, we need to conclude the cult of
I feel part 6 is an underappreciated gem in the whole series.
Even more reason to throw a ton of money at Paul Rudd.
Yes, even more reason to.
I mean, when Anthony Michael Hall...
There will be no flashy editing. None whatsoever.
When Anthony
we
Michael
will not
Hall
ruin the movie with that.
I didn't know who he was until he introduced himself, but, you know, if it was Paul Rudd, I would know instantly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, Scott Allen. Oh, don't worry, guys. Scott Allen's here.
This story takes place 6 hours after Halloween 6.
Well,
I mean, Danielle Harris is somebody they've
talked about bringing her back, too, and that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
They've done so much fan service in the first 2 movies where it's like, you know, bring her back. She doesn't have to be Laurie's sister, or she could be Laurie's sister, but
or cousins or something.
Yeah, you're ignoring 4 through 8 anyway, so you know, bring her back to appease the fans and have her be somebody different. She doesn't have to be a Strode.
Exactly. There's lots of fan service things they could do. Yeah.
She could even be just a new character named Jamie.
Yeah.
Like just a little tip of the hat.
This is
Jamie, she could even
Tommy's
come back
daughter.
as she could even come back as Ben Tramer's wife.
I mean, they had the masks from 3, which didn't even have Michael Myers in it. So they've been doing a lot of that.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Oh, on TV.
They had Halloween playing on TV in the bar. So technically, Michael Myers is in that movie.
True.
Technically. He exists the same as he exists in our universe.
So wait, does that mean Halloween 3 is a documentary taking place in the real world?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Damn.
I mean, I still feel that one also is another underappreciated gem.
That's my second favorite in the franchise.
Yeah, like I really skipped it when I first got into the movies, and I only came to it years later after watching all of them. I think I saw the producer's cut of 6 before I saw 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Producer's cut, though, the musical choices are far better, and the editing looks better.
I can't say I remember.
Like, it was
I've mentally blocked so much of that movie out.
It was little things that I appreciated more about it that made it feel more like a Halloween film than just like a 90s horror slasher movie pre-Scream.
Yeah, it was definitely a part of the death of slashers as we knew them, and then Scream was like, never mind, we're redoing things.
Don't worry, we're still fine.
We can milk it a couple more decades, guys. Don't worry.
We can make this better.
Yeah,
and now we're gonna be the James Cameron of slasher movies.
Yeah, and then H2O is just like Scream with Michael Myers.
Pretty much,
right down to the music.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, I didn't think about that. But yeah, it's definitely inspired by Scream.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of like how there's elements of that Laurie in, like, Laurie from 2018. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, she's packing heat. She wasn't quite as radicalized in H2O, but, like, still, though, you know, she wasn't ready to go for any of that bullshit again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, here we are. We're 4 days before the release. You know, just land the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for it. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Like, like you said, I'm a fan of it, and I still enjoyed Kills.
Mm-hmm.
I really like 2018. Kills was
Yeah.
solid in my opinion. I want to see how they end it. I'm not expecting the seas to part or anything. Just give me an ending.
I'm expecting this just to be a book into the story.
Yeah.
The only way they could fuck up is if neither Laurie or Michael die. Like,
God, that's the biggest thing I'm concerned with. They'll maybe they kill off Laurie and then leave Michael around for a sequel.
I'm actually expecting that.
I could expect.
Like, well, not for the
I'm
sequel, but I'm expecting
that,
Michael
but I'm
to
gonna be
live.
disappointed because I want it to actually be somewhat an ending.
I'm either expecting, like, you know, Laurie or Michael to die, or Laurie to kill Michael to kill Laurie, and her granddaughter to kill Michael.
That'd be an awesome ending.
Oh
That's
yeah, I'd be on board with that 100%.
Yeah. And, you know, then, like, because still those stories, I think, like, these three movies have really told a story of just, like, you know, your own trauma, like one's own trauma.
Yeah.
And how they deal, and how you deal going on living with that trauma, and even family trauma, too, and how you pass that down through the generations. So I have a feeling that they're going to hit more on those themes in the third movie. Because I kind of felt that those took a little bit of a back seat in Kills, which was fine. They needed to, like, have the town go ape shit.
If there's a character they've mishandled so far, I believe it's the granddaughter, because
she had more to do in this past one than the first one.
I feel like she's largely just been kind of there, just kind of like the teenage character you need in these movies.
Yeah.
And I would like more development of her, definitely.
Right. Like, all right, so I'd like her to be a lot of ends because her mother died.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Jamie Lee Curtis Laurie Strode coming back into their lives, maybe she'd still have her mom. So, like, maybe a little bit of resent. Like, you know, give me something with the granddaughter.
Yeah, like, give us some conflict between those two.
Yes.
But obviously knowing that they have to fight this evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
And bring back Ben Tramer. I mean, we don't know if he's alive
he
or dead in this universe.
He hasn't died canonically yet, so they can.
They used a clip in Kills from 2, and if they're saying that nothing after Halloween 1 counts as canon, so does that part of like, you know, Brackett finding Annie? Does that part exist? But like, you know, the Ben Tramer scene doesn't. I mean,
I would assume so.
It is a concern of mine.
Yeah.
A mild concern, but at this point they haven't answered it. So I'm like, I kind of want to know.
Well, I mean, wouldn't Halloween 2... Well, I guess no. Obviously, there's 40 years difference. Yeah.
No, because that's where they establish their siblings.
Yeah. They are definitely not siblings in this new set. Yeah.
Maybe that can be the big ending in this one.
Oh God!
No, just kidding, guys. They actually were.
We're gonna build up 40 years of race canon just so we can re-implement it.
Yeah, they can pull a Lost. For years, Lost. They were like, no, it's not purgatory. It's not purgatory. And then the season ends. It's purgatory.
Oh, cool. The reveal is they're not siblings. They're roommates. They got a quiet place together.
They raise goats.
Yes. All right. Are we ready to get to the meat and potatoes of the episode?
Yes.
All right. We are doing this chronologically.
Chronological.
Yeah, I had I wanted to say canonically. I was like, wait, what? Chronologically, we are doing these movies. So we are starting all the way back with 1931 with Frankenstein.
I believe it's Frankenstein.
Frankenstein? Okay. All right.
Not in this timeline.
Yeah. Well, this is a movie I've never seen before. So yeah, I just saw it for the
no,
first time
I was
last
shocked
night.
too.
Yeah, I know. There's lots of classic movies I haven't seen. If you want to do a deep dive, yes. But yeah, this is definitely a classic. Like, I love how like it's all like old sets, and it's honestly shot like, really well.
Yeah, I told you to keep that in mind while you're watching it.
No,
I got to change batteries.
Oh, how dare you! CP, I take it you have seen this one.
Yes, of course. You also have to keep in mind that like sound was still new to the filmmaking process,
lighting and things like that. It's awesome.
Yeah, I wouldn't know like what comparison to make like CGI in the 90s, but so having sound as a tool and they explored quite a bit with Frankenstein. And Shudder, the streaming service on the streaming service Shudder, they had,
which is awesome.
Yes, it's been a fantastic month so far as I'm concerned. They have this series called Queer for Fear, where they do a dive into Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, and how she was bisexual and a lot. See, I learned stuff too. Right.
I'm actually opening a tab now to open my Shudder.
And a lot of interpretation from people that were speaking in that documentary were taking Dr. Frankenstein as a queer look at how men want to create life but can't. And it was an interesting take. I don't know if I entirely agree with it. I would always before that, and I still think now, my assumption was, the ability to live forever and cheat death was the big theme of Frankenstein, and man being able to science his way past the inevitable. But the Queer for Fear take was quite interesting. Men wanting to create because they can't. It's an interesting take. I don't entirely agree with it, but
there's lots of takes I see where I don't entirely agree, but like they'll still be interesting. Like, okay, I can see where you're coming from at least.
Yeah,
right. I've always gotten the immortality thing. From Frankenstein. And also just it's not so much just the means to create because you can't, but it's just more of just to play God.
And
it's just more of having like the God complex, wanting to do it, which is what Henry did, or Henry had pretty much. But it's funny though, like all it took for him to snap out of it was just a nice cigarette on a porch. Miranda.
I've created a monster, but I'll just let that monster roam the countryside and get hooked up. It'll be fine. It'll work itself out.
I completely forgot about that one scene. So rewatching it, I was like, oh, he's fine. He's having a cigarette. It's cool.
Yeah.
Also, actually probably smoking a cigarette on film too.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Back then for sure. Yeah. I was just going to say, I love the moment earlier in the movie where he talks about how not insane he is while giving the most insane look imaginable. Just, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm not insane.
The actor, Clive,
the moment of it's alive, the look on his face. Some would argue he was chewing the scenery a bit, but I believe for the time he was portraying somebody that has the feelings of a god. So again, it's hard to unremember everything after that moment. Because in that moment, everything that we know for the last 90 years didn't exist. So, it's like this sets a precedent
Yeah.
for certain acting types.
Yeah.
To be polite.
Yeah, no, he could definitely be seen as chewing scenery in there, but again, like I think the direction that and the choices that he was making in that scene was like, this is somebody who he's put months, almost maybe years of his life into.
Yeah, he's got a little obsession going on.
I don't think they specified any time that he had been away working, but like it's clearly he's put in the hours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but like before that, all you see him is working on this one project. You don't get anything about him until after he does it, and
until after he does it, we don't figure out who Henry is until afterwards. But it's just and even like the all the lines that he says is just iconic dialogue. But Colin Clive, definitely could be seen chewing it, but man, he gave a little performance.
Like, I mean it's believable.
Great
like,
read.
oh yeah, he's lost his shit. He's full God mode now.
Well, it's also like setting the standard for this type of thing, because the thing to remember is also before movies, what you had were plays and stuff like that. And you would call what they would do lots of times in plays is overacting, because they have to. They have to say it loudly. They got to be over-exaggerated with your emotions to get stuff across. That's how they did it back then. And
it's now referred to as why sewing.
Yeah. Sewing.
Or Brennan. Or Brennan.
Tearing me apart.
Oh, Neil Breen underacts, if anything.
Oh, God. Neil Breen acts?
He's going to open his jaw and, again, project.
I can't believe you committed suicide.
It drives me crazy. I can't make it through because I just gotta open your mouth and say the word.
Okay, Neil, in this scene, I need you to pretend like you care. Okay, now
just say the line. Neil's directing, Neil.
Yeah.
And
all right, Neil, you put peanut butter in your mouth. All right, cool. Get in camera, read dialogue.
Yeah.
Good God.
Oh shit.
Every shot, it's just like, that was the best take? Really?
There's a plane flying overhead. We'll use it.
Well, we all know it's because it was the only take, right?
It's the only one they can afford, yeah. All right. Well, getting back to when studios funded pictures, there's some fun facts I actually have about this movie, and I'm curious if UCP, you might know a few of these. Bob, I know you'll know none of these. Did you guys know that?
I'm a virgin.
a lot of the set in his lab is unaccountable for today. Like, studio has no idea where it is.
Oh.
Like, it's unaccountable.
Didn't they use some of it for Young Frankenstein?
Yeah. They did have some of it. That was the last time it had ever been used. But since then, I know that Melissa said it was on loan from the studio. We left it back at the studio, so it's.
Oh, okay.
It could be in a warehouse or in a storage facility in the valley. Like.
Wow! No, I did not know that.
I found that shocking when I read that. I mean, it could be. I don't know how up to date that was, but I thought, wow! Like, I think that's. I mean. It should be in a museum.
Yeah,
I mean, that's history. I mean, not to sound Indiana Jones, but
it's also Universal, and they lost a ton of shit in that fire a couple of years back. So
it could be. Yeah, there's also like reels of film never seen. A lot from these Universal monster films too. There's like a lot of old like wardrobe test footage. Stuff that's never seen the public eye. Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. It's kind of like Metropolis. I have a deluxe edition of Metropolis where different parts of the world had different lengths of the movie. Like they were piecing it together differently all over the place. And some parts of the movie were lost that they had to like scour the earth to get as much as possible. But that's Metropolis. We're talking about Frankenstein.
That's still a cool fact.
Oh, no.
That's okay. That's still a cool fact. In the iconic scene, Henry says a line that at the time and for a long period of time, it was edited over due to a sound effect and also the line considered to be controversial. The line was, "Now in the name of God, I know what it feels like to be God." They added that lightning and thunder crack that you hear immediately after he says the line.
Uh-huh.
Originally, the thunder was going over that line, so you could not hear him. I mean, you could hear him say something, you just couldn't hear it over the thunder. They added that after the film had first premiered for executives, and they said, "Yeah, you need to change that." No. And I think it was only in the mid '90s they restored it to where you can hear the line.
It's funny,
Wow.
you would think, the artist counter to that is, see, the lightning struck because he dared God. He dared call himself God.
Right.
That's
He's
what
defying God.
played at to me. Yeah.
Right.
And
that makes
he's daring
sense.
God, and God's responding.
That's even not even having religious belief, but thinking of it in context, you go yes, exactly. You're fucking around, dude. You're gonna find out.
I would not only would I not cut that scene, I would show that scene in church every now and again. Just remember.
This is a moral lesson in film.
Yeah.
Doing things that make no sense, but here's why. Yes.
Yeah. Pure Flix should spend a lot of money and buy up Frankenstein. And
I do not want.
I think they're spending it all on Kevin Sorbo's
as done by David A.R. White.
Yeah, it's either Kevin Sorbo or Kirk Cameron.
Dinesh D'Souza.
I've told Bob we need to find a way to hack a PureFlix account.
Oh God! Yeah, I would.
I'm not giving them money.
But of course, the second I watch one, I'll be bored to tears in a little bit because,
Yeah, I said we should watch one just for how bad they are, and his response was, "Do you want to pay for the account?"
Yeah.
No, I don't.
I watched the abortion one, and me and my wife were furious during it.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. The ones I've seen, I either get really bored by, or I just get pissed at.
Yeah,
I've seen the
one of those two.
First two God's Not Dead movies.
I've only seen the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one it annoyed me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just very annoying. And
it's just wow, this movie's so insistent upon itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can make a movie you can make a movie about my life that I'm the most evil person in the world. If the story's told well, I'll enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but you have to tell a story that is engaging and entertaining before you give your message.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't figured that part out.
Yeah, the credits start opening, and so does your message.
Yeah.
It's just, oh my God. Lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, but those are some of the interesting facts that I thought, and I think it's very interesting because I had a copy of this on VHS when I was a kid. I had a lot of those old Universal Monster movies, and always beneath Frankenstein, it's the only one that had text that said the restored version. I never ever knew what it meant until I got older. But yeah, so all other versions after sometime whenever they fully restored it have always been that version. I mean, you could still kind of find cuts of it like that here and there, but I think that's very interesting. That 1931 though, I could see where some people could definitely get up in arms over that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but again, lean into it.
Yeah, lean into the argument. Well, James Whale, the director of the film, he did some amazing stuff, and through his guidance, and I'm sure a lot of the other people who were set designers and the mountain scene at the end, where it's you can tell that's a backdrop that they're fighting.
Oh yeah, no, there's lots of obvious backdrops here that I
on the set, but that was a set of a mountainside. They were legit fighting on that.
Lots of complex sets here too. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the windmill set.
Mm-hmm.
The inner building of it, and even the cutting back far away shots of the miniature of it. Mm-hmm. It's still implanting the footage of Holm and Boris fighting up there.
Mm-hmm.
Like the little stuff in this was just
golden age, man.
Yeah. Like I love watching it because I think, man, that's an actual set, and like this is no CGI. They cut film and just put it together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is just remarkable.
That's the other thing I really like, because this thing is shot like a movie. Like there's shooting plays and they're shooting movies. They're drastically different. So one of the biggest problems with that newer producers movie is that it's not shot like a movie. It's shot like a play. This is shot like a movie, very early days movie, but this is like shot like a modern movie. You get the close-ups. I love how it's done. I really do. This is
moving the camera around.
Yeah,
they didn't do that so much early on. They were just leave it on the tripod and do everything in front of it.
Get the shot.
Yep.
But there's actually thought about what the shots get here. I just really appreciate it.
Yeah. Really. Visual storytelling, influencing your emotions with certain shots is like, it's bare bones cinema. Like it's like how to influence your audience.
Yeah, but
I mean, the first
didn't exist back then too.
Even the first reveal of the monster in this, where we get a far shot of just his back.
Mm-hmm.
We slowly start to see him turn around, and as his face would be coming into view, we get an even closer shot, and just one right of his face, and we see, like, first we see a reaction before we even see the monster, and then we get to see him, and the audience is just as horrified, I'm sure, in 31 when they first saw him.
Absolutely.
I mean, we grew up seeing his face all along, but always associating it with Frankenstein. So now we see it and go, oh, cool.
Yeah. The argument can be made. I know Phantom of the Opera was before it, the film, but
the silent film or the Universal one with Claude Rains.
Oh shit! That's a good there was question. 25's version.
Okay, yeah. So I believe that's the silent one.
Yeah, where the reveal.
Yeah.
The reveal, that's a jump scare.
That is,
for all intents and purposes, that is like a huge reveal, a jump scare. So for the time, revealing Frankenstein absolutely had to be a jump scare for the audience. Absolutely.
I mean, there's probably people who were horrified at like the doctors and other people's reaction to it.
Right.
Just made them go, "Oh, come on, just show us."
Yeah. I mean, my grandmother told me about her experience watching Psycho in the theaters, and people were just going ape shit in the movie theater, and that was for Psycho. So go back 30 years before that. Just imagine, like, these people haven't seen shit yet.
I mean, this is 8 years before Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what you would consider like classic, cinema. So this is horror. This is setting a blueprint for horror. I mean, my favorite Friday the 13th movie, Jason Lives. Tom McLaughlin, the director, often says he was thinking of Frankenstein when he made that movie. There's a ton of homages to Frankenstein in Jason Lives. He even went to the length to say, I would like for people to watch this in black and white if they could. That's how much of a hard-on he had for Frankenstein, that he wanted to emulate it with Jason Voorhees, of all people.
Yeah.
Well,
there's definitely some...
There's similar elements to Jason Voorhees and Frankenstein's monster. I mean, they're both these...
And they tap into it pretty hard in Jason Lives.
And Jason Lives, they definitely lean into that angle hard.
With strangely a hint of James Bond as well, really.
Yeah.
But
the Roger Moore films are really big those years, man.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the Roger Moore ones.
They're hit or miss.
They're very hit or miss. There's a couple there. Okay, they're not
like pretty much. You just need to watch Man with the Golden Gun and You Only and Live and Let Die.
Okay,
and maybe Octopussy.
I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I love with Man with the Golden Gun just to have Christopher Lee.
I do too.
Oh my
No,
god.
I do too. Yeah, Christopher Lee's the villain.
There's some dumb stuff, but Christopher Lee is so great.
Yeah,
especially as a villain. I mean,
yeah. He's evil.
Mm-hmm.
He's just ruthlessly evil in this. It's kind of great.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it could be said for the entire movie of Frankenstein, but I could. Well, I personally have a bit of a allegory for creativity with the opening half of this movie. You know, the amount that you put into something. Granted, you know, nobody creates an undead zombie, but you know, the work and frustration into, you know, as we've all probably worked with editing software and things like that, putting something together.
Never.
There's definitely some parallels there that you know, maybe I'm reaching, but I see some of it in Frankenstein where it's like, yeah, I can understand just how much the doctor's into all of this. Once you get going, sometimes you're in a trance.
Yeah. And then,
but that's
you know,
just me.
Sometimes you'll just kind of half-ass something and it turns out being popular. Sometimes you put so much of yourself into something and it turns out just to be a monster.
Yeah. Giving little girls flowers. That's not what I wanted it to do.
No. But yeah, I was happy to watch this one. I won't mind watching more of these on the podcast, assuming there's openings. There's so much stuff coming out anymore. It's kind of driving me nuts. It's like, can we have like a couple of weeks?
There's a lot of great ones in the old Universal canon.
I was just going to say, which of the big ones have you seen, Bob?
I don't know if I've seen any, honestly. I know.
You got to go to Dracula next.
Nice.
Yeah, that one's real good.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about how amazing it looks on film.
Ooh,
yeah,
and they just redid them in 4K too, and holy shit!
We're talking about the Francis Ford Coppola film, all right?
You can watch that too. That's fine.
That's also
Gary
really
Oldman's
good.
the fucking man.
Well, it's funny though. About midway through the next film that we're going to talk about, I was thinking about, I wonder if I could just change it, like the suggestion to Dracula, because there was a lot of elements of Fright Night that was reminding me of Dracula.
Well, that seems like a good segue. Are we ready to dive into Fright Night?
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess if you have not ever seen the original Universal monster movies or even Frankenstein, dive into them. They're amazing.
Yeah, not to plug Amazon or anything, but they have a sale currently on like a box set of the Universal Classic Monsters. I think it's like 8 or 10 of the movies for $40, and it's a deal in my humble.
Yeah, I picked something up similar that was like 6 movies. I think it was Bride, Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, and The Invisible Man and the Mummy.
Yep. Those are all in that set. $40. You're paying $5 a movie.
Now, if I can get one with Phantom and Creature, we're in business.
I think there is a collection out there that has those.
Yeah, because those two are my favorites.
Now, as someone who hasn't seen Dracula, but I'm a big fan of Fright Night, what were the parallels you were thinking? Because other than vampire, I don't know.
Well, the parallels were the love that he gets for the male lead, or the interest that he gets in his females and his girlfriend.
Yes.
Elizabeth. I think I got the name right.
Amy.
That's something else.
Yeah.
That's a different movie. That was the last movie. Yeah. Amy. The interest and how she reminds him of a former lover of his. That was something that was a very similar thread to Dracula.
Yeah, that's something I recognize as a trope. Yeah.
Yeah, as a trope throughout Dracula. So or any telling of it. It's something that's very similar, but that And the mirror stuff, which is like another trope, but like there is a straight shot of that's similar to that mirror scene in Fright Night in the original Dracula. Okay. So that's what kind of made me just go, oh. Also, I do want to love that guy who had the mirror in there, the actor.
Roddy McDowall?
Roddy McDowall. He was playing a character called Peter Vincent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Peter Cushing.
Vincent Price.
Vincent Price, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, that's nice. That's a nice touch. This is like, so I mistook this for a different movie. I had never seen this movie, so this is my first
you haven't
time
seen the original Fright Night?
No, I was mistaking this for something else completely different. I thought this was Demon Night.
Oh God. That's a different one.
Completely different movie.
Different one.
Yeah.
It's been a
for
while
some
since
reason
I've
I
seen
thought
that
this was
one.
like
I
you said
recall
Fright Night, and in my head I was like, the Tales of the Crypt movie. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so no.
Yeah, the one with Billy Zane, yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is
Tales from the Crypt movie. Yeah, I'm game.
So yeah, I guess Fright Night's been one of my favorite horror movies for honestly not super long. Probably not long after I saw the remake, and I was like, oh, this, I thought the remake was okay. I was like, oh, there's an original, and I watched the original. I was like, oh, I like this better.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the remake.
Remake's fine.
I kind of don't.
You watched it backwards? Is that
I
what
literally
you're
watched it backwards. Yes.
Yeah,
but
the remake's not bad.
Yeah.
If you've seen it in regular order, the remake is fine.
Mm-hmm.
It does its job.
Mm-hmm. It's got a great cast too.
Yeah, Anton Yelchin, man.
Oh fuck. Yeah, gone.
Rest
way
in
too
peace.
Soon. Jesus
what
Christ.
the fuck?
Oh, but this one has Marcy Darcy in it. I had to stop midway through and go like, wait, is that Google? It
Chris
fucking
Sarandon.
is. It's fucking Marcy Darcy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one has Prince Humperdinck too.
Yes, I actually have that as my notes. Vampire Lord Humperdinck.
Yeah.
I never bothered to learn what the character's actual name is. I just call him Vampire Humperdinck throughout my notes.
Jerry Dandridge, the most horrifying vampire name you could think of.
Vampire Humperdinck. Yeah, Vampire Humperdinck. He's Vampire Humperdinck.
No, I do kind of love how it's like the least vampire name they could possibly think of. Just like, really? We have a vampire. His name is Jerry. Okay.
He works in accounting.
No, but one of the things I really appreciate this original over the remake was one thing I thought, like, I love David Tennant in the remake. He gets to play Peter Vincent there. But his origin there is about how he's a magician.
Okay.
It's got a great cast.
Okay.
Anton Yelchin,
I might see that, yeah.
David Tennant, Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell, I'm assuming, plays the vampire?
Yeah, he's Jerry. Amazing cast. But David Tennant's character in there, he plays a magician who has a vampire-themed show. Which is fine. But then they later explain, the reason he has a vampire-themed show is because his parents were killed by vampires when he was young and he witnessed it. So we're going in with the preset that he believes in vampires.
That's a part of the show?
Well, no, that little bit there is not part of the show. That's why that's what inspired the show.
He explains that before every show, or is it just backstory?
No.
Okay.
No, that's the inspiration for his show. Okay. I prefer it here, where the dude is just kind of this out-of-work actor, Yeah,
I kind of like that aspect.
Yeah, he's out of work. He doesn't believe in vampires, and all of a sudden, fuck, why does that guy have a reflection?
Yeah, it's like, holy shit, where's that guy's reflection?
Yeah, he is 100% there for the money. He's calling up Jerry before, so I guess we're getting ahead in the story. If you haven't seen Fright Night.
Spoiler.
Yeah, if you haven't, we're spoiling the shit out of this, by the way.
A vampire moves next door to this hormonal teen named Charlie.
It's a very Rear Window-esque setup.
Stole the words out of my mouth. There's so many homages that you can reference. Rear Window was going to be one of my first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, what's different here is that Rear Window plays with it. Oh, is he the villain? It plays with it a lot more than this does. This gets to, the dude's a vampire.
Yeah, this one makes no bones about it. Like, this guy's evil.
Tom Holland isn't Alfred Hitchcock.
No. I mean, he's Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's Spider-Man.
Did I say Tom Holland?
No. Tom Holland is actually the director of this. It's just not the same dude.
No, yeah, okay.
It's not that Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Different.
He wasn't born yet. He wasn't.
My brain turned into pudding there for a second.
No,
I was like, wait, what?
When I saw the credits, I was like, oh, look, Spider-Man directed that.
He does travel through time.
Yes. But, obviously it's Where Window-esque, but this doesn't play around. It immediately establishes that this guy's a vampire pretty quickly, like within the first 10 minutes, I want to say. But then...
Yeah, it doesn't waste that much time. Like, I think, we...
Oh, did I just...
I'm trying to...
I'm trying to think of the scene, and then, the next night he sees the lady over at Vampire Humperdinck's house.
Yeah.
How early in the movie is the holy water scene?
Oh, it's probably about halfway through. Yeah,
about halfway.
All right.
The Peter Vincent discovery, yeah.
Okay.
It's after he calls him and works out the bit beforehand.
Yeah, he calls him up.
Yeah, all right.
I have to prove you're not a vampire. I'm going to give you some holy water. And you could tell Jerry's kind of like, holy water? He's like, it's tap water. And Jerry's like, okay.
You see, I'm a refound Christian, and that would just be in bad taste. Wait, red flag right there.
Yeah.
Why would it be in bad taste if you're a newly renowned Christian?
Yeah.
It's just tap water from Flint. You'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, he drinks it and you're like, oh.
It's the best of Letterboxd. All the murky bits are being filtered out for your enjoyment.
The only thing more hostile to vampires than holy water is tap water from Flint.
Flint, Michigan tap water.
But Jerry, I am going to ask you to step away from that open flame if you're going to drink that. You'll be fine. Just don't drink it near an open flame. And don't use it to put out fire.
But I'm trying to remember where I was at. But establishes he's a vampire, and then the mystery of the movie isn't Charlie finding out if this is a bad guy or not. The mystery is how the fuck is Charlie going to convince anybody that he lives next door to a vampire? Because that's a tall fucking tale.
He has his lackey Ed, who's
a bit much.
He's pretty much worthless the entire movie, even as a vampire. Oh yeah. He gets turned into a vampire in the movie, but he's just as worthless as vampire Ed.
I want to say Christopher Mintz-Plasse has his role in the remake. So good cast in that fucking remake. Jesus.
Yeah, it was a by the numbers, respectable remake.
Yeah, it plays it maybe a bit more horror edged in the remake.
Yes,
but I was actually every time I watch this, there's a little comedy edge, but it's mostly playing it semi straight here, which is kind of surprising.
Well, it's certainly lit for
horror.
Yeah.
Well, another scene that I felt really reminded me of Dracula, and actually the scene that made me want to almost text you, go hey, let's swap out Frankenstein for Dracula instead. But I kind of like how that we didn't, because that way we have a Frankenstein, a vampire, and a werewolf. We got
I like that
in one episode.
And
we got the core three. That's, and a BDSM demon. Yes.
Yeah. A pinhead. The four
we'll get more of my opinions on the BDSM demons.
My personal life is mine, and I don't appreciate you bringing. Oh wait, you're talking about the
Hellraiser.
Never mind.
We're talking about Hellraiser. I'm not talking about the live. Details.
But
right, 50 Shades it is. We're going to talk about 50 Shades.
The most horrifying movie of the collection. Wait,
the scene where he put Amy under the spell at the nightclub. And they were dancing together. There's a scene that's just very similar. Dracula kind of hypnotizes one of the female leads in the original, and they're dancing in a room, and it's also one of the scenes where they, see, oh, look, he's no longer like they did in the remake of the Francis Ford Coppola where they're dancing and she's dancing with nobody.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of parodied it in Dead and Loving It.
Mm-hmm.
They parodied that in Dead and Loving It, yeah. Which I gotta say, out of all the adaptations of the original Dracula story, I think Dead and Loving It was one of the most accurate. I mean, comedy aside, like Mel hit all the major points in the story.
Yeah, Mel Brooks was quite respectable. While I mean, he just roasted him. He was a professional, but he certainly respected the source material.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if you like, I haven't seen Dead and Loving It, I have to admit, but I mean, you watch Young Frankenstein. That's a hilarious movie, dripping with respect.
Yeah, it has nothing, and you can kind of appreciate now all the homages to the original Frankenstein.
Oh yeah,
when you watch Frankenstein next time,
Mm-hmm.
next time you watch it, you'll just go like, "Oh wait, cool."
Yeah.
All right, Mel.
George Lucas loved Spaceballs. Like, he's quite all right.
He loved it enough to tell Mel, "Don't make merchandise."
Oh, if you do,
so
I'm
Mel wrote a bit
monetizing
about it. That's why I never buy anything that says Spaceballs, though. Whatever, because I know that's not licensed. But there was a lot of things that I felt were definitely, like, I guess, really paying homage to those early Universal horror films, but as well as giving a direct kind of like shout out to the Hammer films, as the kid Charlie was anytime he was watching a horror film, it was like most of the time it was a Hammer film with like Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee on his TV.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
That is where I have a big gap in my movie history. I have not seen many Hammer.
I haven't seen the Hammer ones either. Yeah,
and I'm curious too because I've seen bits of some of them, and the ones that I have seen, I think it was Dracula and the Wolfman, something with the two of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that think Christopher Lee is the true Dracula, and I'm like, really? I guess I need to watch some of these Hammer movies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, probably horror is my biggest gap as far as movies. Yeah, I'm bad with the horror stuff. I'm getting caught up with the newer. I feel like I'm going backwards. I'm getting caught up with the newer stuff and working my way back.
Well, yeah, it's a bit more respectable now than it was even 10 years ago. You have filmmakers really making good horror, which is a bit of an oxymoron, but
we're getting a lot of people, I think, who you could tell grew up on like the Sierra Leone westerns and like in the Dario Argento type horror, like really visually stunning and artsy one. Now, I've actually recently, I'm a big fan of Suspiria, and for years I was just stubborn and I would never wanted to watch the remake, like it's blasphemy. I recently did break down and watch it. There was a lot of love to the original in that. A lot. Some beats of the story I felt weren't as driven as they were in the original. And they took a couple of liberties, but nothing major, like just minor.
They certainly didn't use color the same way. To say the very least.
Did not. Wow. Yes, like the dream sequence, I guess. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all. I mean, I wasn't mad, but I was just wow. Wow.
But
this is nuts.
I think that's part of what I like about Fright Night. See how I brought it back around?
There you go. Steer us back.
But yeah, it's definitely a movie that respects those old classic movies a lot.
It did.
Yeah, it's honestly just something I thoroughly enjoy. I just like the idea of, there's this horror creature next door. How the fuck do I convince anybody that's true?
What exactly was that live-in person there? The guy that took like about 6 bullets, who was shot like Michael Myers.
Oh, I assume that was a familiar.
6 times.
I assume it was just a familiar. I guess they don't explain it in movie, but I assume it was just supposed to be a familiar. He was waiting.
Well, he bled radiator fluid. He's not human.
Well, no. I assumed he was turned some point during the movie. But I guess they don't explain that, do they? Yeah.
I just have his lackey that bleeds radiator fluid and has Michael Myers strength.
Well, it actually reminded me of Lost Boys. In Lost Boys, they even have that line. It's like, oh yeah, when a vampire dies, it's gonna do something crazy. We don't know what. It's almost just like an excuse to just the filmmaker be like, yeah, we're just gonna do some crazy shit every time we kill a vampire. I felt like this movie followed that rule fairly well. It's just if a vampire's gonna die, we're gonna do some crazy shit, okay? This one's gonna leak radiator fluid, okay?
Well, yeah, the vampire ends up falling in love with Charlie's girlfriend and puts her under a spell and ends up trying to bite her. And then Charlie and the TV actor, Peter Vincent, both fight him down in a few different final showdowns.
Yeah. That'd be one thing. Like, I enjoy this movie, but every time we get to the ending, I always feel like it's dragging on a bit long. I feel like,
they should
we're
have just had
conclusion. Oh, no, we're not. Oh, conclusion. Oh, no, we're not. Oh, no.
They should have just started breaking windows in that main area of the house.
Basement,
Yeah,
in the basement,
that felt like
just to do the same.
That felt like the most natural ending.
Yeah.
But instead they go upstairs and they essentially just do that.
No, they go to the basement and then do that.
Yeah, it's like, you already had that set up. Okay, we're going to do it here, sure.
Like we know the sun's coming up, and I mean, the sunrise is taking a sweet time at this point. He should have been roasting alive, flying around. I know there wasn't that much shadow in that room.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't work as hard if you're a bat, so... That's how he was able to avoid.
Indirect sunlight attacking someone on a staircase at the bottom of the steps.
Yeah, sure, why not? Sure.
What was the first? Was 30? Was the Universal Dracula the first one to
do the bat? I think so.
And sunlight?
I don't know about sunlight.
I'm trying to.
But he always came out at night. I think he just said like he doesn't like the sun.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what was the first movie that established the fact that Dracula / vampire is just the sun is their kryptonite. And I'm at a loss because like that's just something we all know.
Yeah, it's been like our entire lifetimes.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember when that was set up, and I don't know who was the first to do it. Like it's a rule, and who wrote it? Damn it! It's canon. I mean, unless it's Twilight, then it just makes you sparkly. But it's something I've known for my entire life. Okay, vampire can't go into the sunlight because dead.
Yeah, now you've got me looking into it.
Am I frozen? Oh no, you're searching.
Yeah, no, I'm searching too. I'm curious about it too.
You've got me wondering because it wasn't always like that. Yeah, it was just. I think at first it was just like we don't like the sun. But I don't think it was like it kills you. I don't think.
Yeah, we're night people.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it an allegory for something or what? There's just so many tropes that
established in 1985's Fright Night. No.
What if I would be shocked if that were
no way. No.
Like the precedent was set somewhere. I just don't know where.
God, I'm getting into so much history here. This is not clear. Yeah.
It's just something I know.
Yeah, no.
It's just that, and the 2020 election was stolen. Like those are just things that I know because
Bram Stoker's novel.
Okay,
is what I'm finding.
Okay,
what I found was Nosferatu 1922.
Oh, is that a fact? Oh, I got to rewatch that. I don't remember that. Shit. Okay.
We'll see. Yes.
That's 1922 is pretty. That's 100 years ago.
That is literally 3 years older than my
of lore.
grandmother.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything we want to add? Or are we ready for
I didn't mean
our
to
werewolf?
derail
no,
everybody
no.
The sunlight thing.
Listen. If it wasn't called the Organized Chaos Podcast, it'd be called the Derailment Podcast. We're all about derailment.
Yes.
It's cool. Are we ready for the werewolf, though?
Yes.
Yes. Marvel Studios'
Yes.
Werewolf by Night. So this was announced, like I brought up a little bit in the intro, this was announced like a month ago. So I assumed it was coming out sometime next year. And then it's like out on Friday, and I didn't even know it was coming out, and then it's here. It's like, okay. Essentially, I feel like this is kind of the return of the Marvel one-shot. Although this is definitely the most elaborate one-shot they've ever done. They're getting very elaborate towards the end, too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I've heard the runtime is short.
It's 55 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a quick one. It's essentially a mini movie. This is the biggest project ever, directed by Michael Giacchino, and I'm slaughtering his name. But if you're familiar with
Giacchino, the music maker?
Yes, I was about to say, if you're familiar with his name, it's because he does lots of great movie scores. I actually really like his scores for the most part.
Yeah, he's a big J.J. Abrams linked.
Yeah, he does lots of that
composer.
stuff. He's been doing lots of Marvel stuff too, though, recently. And yeah, he directed and composed the score for this piece. And he does a solid job. A couple of the facts about this little one shot here is that he did as much practical as possible, and it's all sets, and it's all done black and white, old school style. And it's a fun little story. According to Kevin Feige, this is important for the MCU going forward to get this stuff established, which I feel like is definitely laying some groundwork, at least for Blade, if nothing else.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting Blade to come in there at some point.
I was expecting maybe a Blade mid-credit scene. That's the thing. There's no mid-credit or post-credit scene in this. Once the credits roll, it's over. That's a rarity for Marvel right there. But yeah, I kind of dig this story, and we get there's lots of little Easter eggs in this. I guess if you haven't seen it yet, the story is simply Ulysses Bloodstone, who's this famed monster hunter, has died, and he has this artifact that he uses to hunt monsters called the Bloodstone. And a whole bunch of hunters gather together to win the right for this Bloodstone. Now, some more a lot of them are characters I don't know. The two most prominent ones are Jack Russell, aka Werewolf by Night, and Elsa Bloodstone, who's a pretty big character in the comic books right now, essentially a monster hunter. Now, of course, the Bloodstone rejects monsters, and one of the twists is, of course, you get Jack Russell. He gets access to the Bloodstone. He goes to grab it, and it just pushed him away because he is a werewolf. But yes, this is just a short little half a movie length, tells a full story, and it just has me interested in. I'm kind of disappointed that it's only one piece, honestly, because I'm interested in seeing this world expanded on.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I kind of figured he was the werewolf immediately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I thought she would also turn into one too, but I was mistaken.
No, not.
Was there no post-credit scene?
Nope.
No.
But they
did change up the Marvel intro.
Yeah, they did
with how they have it, and they added like wolf slashes and a wolf howl.
Yeah, and they did all black and white, old school.
Yeah, I was like,
film stuff.
All right, that's pretty awesome. And the order that I watched everything was I watched Fright Night first, and then I watched Frankenstein, and then I watched this.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of a really nice, I guess, palette cleanser to go from Frankenstein to this, with it still being in black and white and the use of like practical effects and everything.
No,
it was like, oh, this is cool. It showed me that a black and white horror like those old Universals could be made today and still look good.
No, that's the thing. Like last night, I watched this first, and then I watched Frankenstein. And I was like, wow, these things are very similar. Like, we essentially have, like, the trendsetter back in 31, but here's, like, something paying so much homage to that type of movie. Yeah, like I said, I overall, I dug this. I like what they did. I like Gail Garcia Bernal, who plays Jack Russell, a.k.a. Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, he was good.
He was good. Laura Donnelly, who played Elsa Bloodstone, was good as well. The woman who played, like, essentially the main villain, I don't know the actress's name, but she's in a lot of stuff. And God, yeah, you hate her character as soon as she popped up. The other, what was the other thing I wanted to bring up? Oh yeah, Man-Thing. We haven't brought up Man-Thing. Man-Thing has a nice little cameo in this.
You mean Ted?
Yeah, Ted, yeah. A revival from his sci-fi movie back in, like, 2004, I guess. He's kind of just Marvel's Swamp Thing. But it was nice to see him come back and actually get, like, a fun little story. But yeah, I dig... Yeah, Ted. I just dig the setup. I dig all the callbacks to the classic horror movies. Even somebody who's not familiar with those classic horror movies, I'm watching this and going, oh, I see what they're doing. And I dig it. I like the transformation scene where... I like what they did where you're not actually seeing him transform into a werewolf, but you're seeing her reaction to him transform into the werewolf and a silhouette of him transforming into a werewolf. It's like, well done. That seems like the type of artful thing they would do back in the day before they could do CGI and all that crap. I will say I was a little disappointed in his final werewolf form. I thought that felt a little lazy. I would like a bit more to that. But yeah, this was fun.
It did essentially just look like a bunch of glued on hair.
Yeah. It was not much to it. No.
I mean, still looked great on film, but...
Yeah. It's weird. Like they did that close-up, and it's like, I like that close-up of him in the werewolf form. I just wish it looked better.
Yeah.
It wasn't enough to kill it for me, but yeah, it was kind of like, But yeah, I'm kind of, like, my biggest complaint about this is I'm disappointed we aren't, like, automatically going to get more stuff expanding on this stuff, because, like, I dug it. I dug this.
Yeah, I really did, too.
Like, slice of the MCU in the supernatural world taking place in 1930s, I assume. Did they establish a year for this?
No, they did not.
Okay.
Or at least not one that I caught.
Yeah. We will have to see. I know it's got lots of people talking about a possibility of a Midnight Sun story. I'm trying to think, what were the characters already established? Let me look that up. Because I know a lot of the Midnight Suns are kind of getting established right now. Including, obviously Blade's coming up. They kind of had Ghost Rider and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I don't know if they're counting that as canon. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s place in the MCU is one of the most confusing things ever.
Did they get a director yet for Blade?
I believe, I heard a rumor right now it's going to the guys who did Moon Knight.
Oh.
Which, I liked Moon Knight, so I'd like to see what they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested to see Blade, if nothing else, to see a return to this type of stuff, because I like it. The MCU could use more vampires and werewolves.
Yeah, agreed.
Any final thoughts, Bobby?
No, I really did enjoy this, going completely blind into it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, knowing that it's like it's lore within the MCU and more of it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see more of the monsters. I want to see more of what this end of the MCU has to offer.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I did, like, for putting my cards out on the table, I knew of this character. That's about it. I maybe knew a little bit more about this going into it than I did about Guardians of the Galaxy when I went to that first movie. You know, not a whole goddamn lot. But I enjoyed it. I love seeing the bit more obscure ends of the MCU being explored. I think it's cool.
I mean, with Deadpool 3 being announced, at least they're embracing the fact that you don't have to constantly target the under 18 audience. You can still be a Marvel movie and have adults that enjoy it. It's certainly encouraging.
Well, as we all know, Disney has never ever before made an R-rated movie. So outside of
you're talking about Miramax.
Yeah. Disney has never ever made an R-rated movie. So I believe that's a good
Miramax,
segue.
however, has.
Yeah, I believe that's a good segue into Disney's Hellraiser.
Yes.
The first G-rated Hellraiser movie for sure.
Yeah, no. Did they throw this under their newly acquired Fox banner?
I don't remember what they put it under.
I know it's Hulu.
It's Hulu, yeah. It's definitely Hulu. I don't recall if they threw it under the 20th Century Studios banner or what. I'm pretty sure it didn't have the Disney banner, but it is Disney.
It had the Magic Kingdom opening.
Yeah, all the people complaining about Disney not doing R-rated stuff. You did see this, right?
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and go over my initial thoughts on this real fast. Because as somebody who really likes the original Hellraiser, then yeah, actually, of all the horror franchises, I'm actually decently familiar with the Hellraiser stuff, strangely enough.
Really?
Yeah. I haven't seen the Siffy movies. Yeah, no, it's an oddball, but I like the first one quite a bit. That would definitely be my favorite. And this one does have some callbacks to the original, especially once they get to the story. You kind of see where it's definitely calling back to the original. Mm-hmm. That being said, this is a movie where I kind of liked the second half, but the first half was a bit of a slog for me. It felt like we have this Hellraiser box. I don't remember what it's called. I'm probably completely brain farting. The puzzle box. It's bouncing around. It's pricking people on the hand, and then they're dying. And there's literally...
And at times, it's dildo shaped.
Yes, it is. No, there are... I don't know what you're talking about, CP. There are no S&M references in this franchise whatsoever. Where are you getting this from? Where are you...
I don't know.
BDSM demons.
Yeah, fuck, man. BDSM? What? No, not in
BDSM demons.
Get the fuck out. No, but there...
I love the fact that there was the typical angry dweeb on the internet trope of getting pissed that the main Cenobite was a female, and it was like, oh,
I know.
They're making Hellraiser woke, and it's like, dude, you need to get out and touch some grass. There have been female Cenobites, and do you really care about what their private parts are? Because they're fucked up, man.
Yeah.
All of them are fucked up. I never thought of their gender once. I don't care.
Well, that's the
what
thing. The Cenobites are all types of fucked up throughout the entire franchise. So, what do you think you know what their genitalia is underneath? Because how fucked up they are, I don't know any of their genitalia. It might be some of the most fucked up shit you've ever seen in your life.
Well, there's definitely like pins in it, and it's like being pulled back by some other piece of flesh, and just such a strange thing to jump on in your crazy. Sorry,
well, no, it's literally what caught my attention. This, I was like, oh, there's a new Hellraiser coming out. Oh, everybody's upset over the female Pinhead. Oh, okay, we'll have to check that out. And my thoughts on Jamie Clayton as Pinhead, I thought she was pretty good. I mean, she has a bigger role here than honestly I recall Pinhead having in the first one. But that's the thing, Pinhead's role always got like booted up. Because in the first one, as I recall, he was like the main Cenobite, but like, there's a whole bunch of them, and they're all fucked up looking. And obviously, Doug Bradley's Pinhead was the one that really stood out, so he became kind of the main focus. So he became the iconic one, and now we have Jamie Clayton's take on it, and she's good. But we don't even get that much of her until like the second half of the movie, which, yeah, like I said, like in the first half, I just feel like the puzzle box is getting to people, it's scratching them, and then they die. There's literally a scene where a woman's holding it, and you see her go, ow, and she cuts herself, and it's like, oh, well, fuck, I know.
She gonna die?
Yeah, it's like, okay, come on. And like I said, I'm into the second half of this, but the first half is a bit of a chore. What were your guys' thoughts?
I would agree a bit. When they go to that, like, so first our lead is a recovering addict, which I thought was a neat implant for like when she was freaking out and people thought that she was, back on the wagon. I could have an appreciation for making the lead that for use later in the movie. But when her, what was it? Her brother, her boyfriend?
Yeah, her brother.
She has a brother and a boyfriend here.
Yeah, the boyfriend was the one that took her to the safe.
Yeah,
and like, I would have been pissed, like really pissed, if I'm going to commit a crime and there's no real cash.
Yeah, it's just this like puzzle box. It's like,
what the fuck? Yeah. Oh, cool. A little box that stabs people. Thank God we committed crimes for this.
It's like, let's break in and steal some stuff. It'll be easy money. And then they get to this safe and they have no way to crack a safe. And I'm like, wow. The fuck, guys? The fuck? And then finally
proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
And it's like she just knocks the wheel off the safe and then it opens easily. It's like, I don't think that's how that works, but... Fuck it. Okay.
Well, that's convenient.
Yeah.
The box wants to be found.
Well, why is it even in a safe then? Why not?
Yeah. Why is it in a safe in a container?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's just like
that we have to break into. I mean, there's levels of.
Well, we later find out through a wealthy millionaire's attorney. That she kept it there to hide it. My question: why not dump it in the fucking ocean?
Yeah, bury it.
Yeah. Well, there's no better way to hide it, guys.
In the middle of the fucking ocean.
Yeah. Fill the safe with cement. Drop that into the water.
Problem solved.
I think the best way to hide it is to maybe put it in a shoebox under the bed and just forget about it.
No, we're gonna put it up in like a crawl space, right?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna leave the house abandoned. Right? Yeah. We're gonna let it sit for several decades. Demolish it. And then when clearing it up, that's when we'll rediscover the box. Nice. It's a whole new person to find it. Or just build it into the new house. Ooh. Okay. My thoughts on this were I was going completely blind into this is pretty much my first introduction to any Hellraiser before.
Well, I would say this works as a pseudo reboot, so yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the only prior knowledge I would have about it is something about a box and some fetish torture demons.
That sounds about right. Yeah, that's the biggest stuff.
Yeah, I'd say within the first 30 minutes of the movie, it lets you know the type of movie it is. Absolutely,
really?
Because I'd think so. I mean, because I had pretty much my first thoughts going into it were just that. Okay, this can be about some sort of fetish demons who torture and a puzzle box and something about a puzzle box. That's all that I knew of it. I think with the shot of the escort at that sex orgy party in the beginning.
I'm forgetting that. I'm thinking so hard about the roommates.
That's why I'm thinking.
I don't care about much of any of these people.
But we get the rest of the movie with them.
Yeah, I know. That's part of what the beginning was such a slog, because Riley is a character I'm not super interested in, and as time goes by, I warm up to her. The boyfriend I don't like at all, And then there's her brother
Her
and
roommate.
his boyfriend, who I like, but one of them's dead super fast. And
Yeah. And then there's the other roommate who
just feels so tacked on. Just, I know nothing.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. I live here too.
Yeah.
She made empanadas.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, I defy anybody who watches. Tell me one feature about that character.
She cooked.
Yeah.
She made empanadas. She made enough for
Jesus.
everyone. She made enough for everyone.
Well, there you go. There you go. It's like she has I kept on forgetting she existed, and then she'd pop up. It's like, oh yeah, she hasn't died yet. Because it's like, when they spend so little time with a character, you're like, okay, I'm just waiting for them to die then.
Yeah, the meat of the conflict between the main character and her brother is, she's a bit of a fuck up, and like, you don't need more characters in that apartment to sell everything. It was just like tacked on. It felt like you could do without those characters.
I mean, they were essentially there just to pad the body count. Though.
Right.
Yeah, that's all they were there for, padding the body count. And we're padding the body count before we even get to story, which drove me a bit nuts. Where are you going, Bobby?
Well, I was just gonna say it's no different than like I want to say maybe Friday 4 and 5. Or no, what's the one with the imposter? The
5.
5.
That's 5. Yeah, where we get this whole house full of misfit kids.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter because they're all going to be fucking dead about midway through anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's the thing with these horror movies. Like, I get you want to pad the body count, but the best way to pad the body count is at least give us characters we somewhat like.
Right.
Crispin Glover in the fourth one was such a good example. He's such a goofball, and of course he has sex, so you know he's gonna die. But you like him,
Yeah, like there was believable dialogue there between him and his buddy, the one who liked watching old time nudie movies. But there was substance. Like I knew that he had recently broken up with a significant other and was kind of tormented about whether or not he was a dead fuck.
Yeah, and, I remember
that. That's good enough.
Yeah.
For a slasher of all things.
I'm not looking for Shakespeare, but I know I know with these characters you're padding the kill count. I know that going in. Make me mildly invested.
Well, you can, but they could also just introduce the people if they were just trying to pad a body count, like Sleepaway Camp. The small kids who she just butchered with the axe, all because they kicked sand on her. She just pushed in. The one that Ricky called you little fucks? I just find it hilarious that he called those small children little fucks.
But that's the thing.
Padding a body count is good if you're introducing, but I do agree with both of you. Yeah, they were definitely just a lot of the roommate stuff was just kind of skip.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you want to kill them, that's fine. If you need those actors in the movie to kill, I understand. But don't try to give me this apartment
dynamic.
Whatever drama they're going through, because most of them aren't really in it. They're just there to hey, I have an opinion, and don't worry, he's your brother. He won't kick you out. And that's really it. They're just like spectators for the most part. So have them be neighbors and just fuck. I never thought I would say this about a horror movie. I guess it would be considered a slasher. The drama between the brother and sister was enough for that apartment. That was it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it talked about how she wasn't paying rent and he was covering her side, but then they have this other roommate. And in my mind, I was thinking, so wait, are they dividing it 2 ways and he's paying 2/3, or do they go to the other roommate and they each cover half when Riley can't cover it?
Right.
How does this work? And now
Exactly.
we're adding unnecessary thought processes that aren't needed.
Dude, that you read my mind. I'm watching this thinking, all right, so what's the rent? Who's paying how many dividends?
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
have like
exactly.
6 people here. He's paying for his sister. She's bringing her boyfriend by. Are the other tenants pissed that she's bringing her boyfriend while not paying rent? Because I've split a house with people before, and holy shit, the dumb arguments we've had about just having another human being in the house overnight, like just holy, it'd be easier to pass laws in Congress than it would be to explain what it's like, what kind of arguments you could go through living with more than 2 people in the same house and splitting rent. And oh, that could have been something that they had a major conflict about, but no, they were just worried about the sister.
Yeah, and
that's it.
And if that's all they want to go for, that's fine. But like you said, just okay. So she's rooming with her brother, and they have friends. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get,
or even like just drop the line in where, like, you know what, we think that, you know, we pay whatever. If they're each paying a fair share, they should be like, hey, we pay rent here too. We don't want you to kick your sister out. Like it would give them a little more importance in the script, and you know, it would establish just why they're there.
Or maybe have a scene after he and his sister got into a fight where he goes outside to have a cigarette. His boyfriend is out there. They're both talking, and him just saying, like, you know, that's a bad move, kicking her out, right?
Yeah.
You know, we should try to make her. We should tell her to change her mind.
Well, yeah.
Let her stay. Like,
well, I mean,
something like that.
They
or,
don't quite have
like,
that, but when she's leaving, the boyfriend is out there, and he's like, "No, he's not serious. Go back in there." You know, they kind of have that, but it's like. Yeah, it's like, for the most part, I'm not really engaged with these characters, and kind of towards the end, some of them, maybe.
Yeah.
Also, though, I think it took, they should have been on to the boyfriend, that he was in on it when they came back into the room and he was wide awake. Like, at that point, like, yeah, no, we're not doing anything.
Yeah, no, he's an obvious piece of shit. I mean, at no point was he ever redeemable, and at no point was there ever signs that he was going to be redeemable.
They didn't name some of the other Cenobites, but I did come up with a few names for them.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah, there's Pinhead, there's the Vagina Nun, there's Skinless, and there's the Gas Mask, the one with, like, the sheet over his face.
Nice.
And there's a Gutball and Flatface. Yeah, and whatever the hell that thing is rolling around in the walls. And as soon as I wrote that, that's when the reveal was on that. But yeah, Vagina Nun was definitely a...
Vagina Nun is pretty on point.
Yeah. Wait, are you guys trying to say that there are BDSM elements in this movie?
Yes.
I don't know if I see
Without
that.
hesitation.
I don't know.
Without hesitation.
Bob. I don't know if I follow. This seems like a good Christian movie to me.
I must have missed the Pure Flix.
Pure Flix.
Yeah, Pure Flix now bought the Hellraiser catalog.
Am I mistaken in Bob? How well versed are you in Hellraiser?
I've seen the first one a few times. It's been a few years though. Most of the other oins I've seen pretty much once. Not super, but yeah.
The one with the mouth. Is it Chatterbox or?
I think it is Chatterbox.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That one was in this briefly, right? So not only an homage, but they were using canon Cenobites.
I'm certain we've seen that one before. Yeah.
I forgot. I called that one the science effigy.
Dry mouth.
Yeah, dry mouth. Dry mouth.
Shit, yeah.
I couldn't think of a funny one, but I just thought I had to fit effigy in there because of the mock cross that he was on.
Unexpectedly, that Cenobite loves peanut butter.
Oh, he and Neil will be great friends.
But yes,
this one I actually did like this a lot more than I thought I would. I mean, I wouldn't say it's my first pick for a horror or a slasher type of movie, but I mean, it made me interested enough into the series that I might check out the original.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm interested to see it to compare like the difference between it.
It was made in 1987, and it feels it. Just fair warning.
That's fine. I prefer the more practical rubber suit looking effects.
So Bobby, you won't be shocked to hear this at all. The reason why I am semi-familiar with the Hellraiser series is because the actor who plays the father in the first one played one of my favorite Star Trek characters, Garrick. It's Andrew Robinson. So maybe you want to dive into this, can check it out.
Fair.
Oh my God, Garrick's in a horror movie? I'm checking that shit out. It's not quite Garrick, but Andrew Robinson's great.
Yeah, no. Absolutely.
But yeah, the fact that
I was a big James Spader fan, and then I saw Crash, and now I'm like, okay, James Spader's in this. Let's see how this will go. Is he going to be creepy? Well, he's mildly creepy, but not like Crash creepy. So that's a plus.
Let's crash our car and fuck.
It's true with that movie's
hard to look at Holly Hunter
the same
way.
What was that, Bob?
I was saying that Crash is canon with Stargate, right?
Sure.
That was Daniel Jackson, right? Daniel.
Sure.
Yeah, as somebody who's seen the original Hellraiser, and my wife Emily is quite a fan of she has seen most of the franchise, but she's quite a fan of, I think Hellraiser is her favorite horror movie. So I've seen it whether or not I wanted to. And I remember thinking, I don't have a problem with this. I'm in no rush to watch the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
But watching the 2022 version, I feel like it is, by the numbers remake. It's not terrible. It's not
well
fantastic.
done, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just modernized. It's a modernized version of something. You're just retrying the good old Halloween 2018. Fuck it, let's just refresh everything. And
no. I think the true fuck it standpoint was the Texas Chainsaw 2022.
Oh
shit!
Oh no! I didn't mean like literally fuck it.
That literally was fuck it. We'll throw some shit against the wall, see what sticks.
We'll recast
just
the original
literally in every
last girl and just butcher her in every way.
Why? Just dude, people don't think of her the way they think of Jamie Lee Curtis. You can't do that.
No. Me thinking of her as either her in a mental asylum or her as far the fuck away from the state of Texas. Like she's living in Nova Scotia, Canada right now.
Exactly.
That's what I think of her.
Yeah. Yeah. Heavily drugged, Xanaxed the fuck out
or she's living in Nova Scotia, just very drunk, shooting birds every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Nowhere near Texas. That's
nowhere near Texas. Yeah, nowhere near Texas. Not a fucking ranger, at least.
But yes.
I mean, I like the idea, but come on. Give me Dennis Hopper's character back.
Oh, from 2. Yeah. Yes, that's such a wonky franchise. Well, part 2, yeah, that's underappreciated. And the fact that Toby Hooper was just like, I I made the first one I don't really want to make this one, but fuck it. And he just leaned into
to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it worked. Like it's just so. I mean, I understand people who are expecting the first one will definitely be a little taken aback, but there's plenty of satire and humor and camp to it, but it's absolutely on purpose. And a lot of it is fucking good.
Yeah.
The meat, what was it? The beef stew competition.
The chili.
The chili, that's it.
Yeah.
Random. It's all on the meat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I got
is
it.
just good meat. Oh.
Right. Well,
yeah, Texas Chainsaw is a bizarre franchise. It's all over the place, especially lately.
Speaking of bizarre franchises, Hellraiser.
Yeah. It's back.
Joining us. Yeah.
But yeah, you feel a lot of the ideas from the first one carried over into this. Like they are definitely a reboot. Part of my problem is that in the first half, you don't really see any of those ideas. And in the second half, you start saying, oh, here's one person who's been infected by the box. He's got a friend who's helping him get victims. Oh, this is just like the first one. Okay. Whereas in the first one, you have that set up like immediately. You know that shit's going on. The question is, when is the father and the daughter gonna figure this shit out? That's I'm looking
the plot up, and I forgot about the millionaire mansion party in the beginning. And
yes, yeah. No, that felt kind of tacked on because pretty soon we go into like our main characters. And then when it comes back to that, it's like, oh, there was a point to that because it felt kind of tacked on. And it was nice to actually come back to it. But yeah.
We're going back to the murder orgy mansion. Nice.
I mean, it's been a while since I've seen the Hellraiser sequels. This is probably better than those, I will say. But the first one is still solidly the best one, in my opinion.
It's fine. I don't have complaints about 2022. I'll say that, but I'm not running out to defend it if I need be.
I mean, if we're talking about this like semi-reboot era of horror movies, I definitely prefer Halloween 2018. Because that one doesn't have a first half where I'm bored.
Yeah, I would kind of also like one for Friday the 13th. One that is actually would give it justice. I mean, the remake, I felt the first bit of it was decent.
Yeah, it's not the worst remake.
It's what I would expect from a Jason.
Right before the title screen.
Yeah, right before the title screen. And then after that, it's just downhill from there.
Yeah, it's a 20-minute little prologue there in 2009. That was decent.
That was. And just, I think it's just how we were talking about earlier, is just even if there's a big cast, and if it's just to have the body count, make us care about the people.
Spend a little bit of time on each of the characters.
Don't make all of them the worst people possible all gathered in one room together.
Yeah. I've had to sit through fan films as some bizarre little thing on my channel because people want to torture me. And there's
I've seen you tweet about it.
Yeah. There's a shit ton of Friday the 13th fan films. And, with all due respect to people diving into the art of filmmaking, horror isn't about people talking. It's about special effects and gore and certain things. And if you don't have the money, your cast should be kept small for a myriad of reasons. And it feels like even with some of these bigger budget things, having a cast of a bunch of people who have speaking roles, we've got to invest something in people Especially if you're going to put them in the same apartment together.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I know technically we only have 3 people who are roommates, but it really feels like 5. And one of them who is the actual roommate is completely forgettable. Like,
right. Like, dude, there's a moment where I genuinely was like, all right, what's the rent? Who's splitting what?
Yeah.
How many? Who lives there? Who doesn't? It was very.
We both had that moment where it's like, wait, why am I even wondering this in a fucking Hellraiser movie? How do they divide this? Is it 5 ways? Is it 3 ways? Is it 2 ways? What?
They made a point of him saying, "I'm paying your rent," or "I'm paying for you," and I'm letting you stay in my house. And when he said that, like that fucking gnawing berry stuck into my head, and I was like, wait a minute. So is this a condo? Do you own this? Are the other people paying you rent?
Yeah.
Or are you using like when you say my place, what exactly do you mean? And like the scene was long over, and I'm still stuck on him just saying that little line to.
The exact same thing happened to me. Like we're dealing with like the puzzle box is stabbing people and fucking people up, and I'm still trying to figure out how the rent for this place.
Dude, the rent was my puzzle box.
Yeah, I was just like, how the fuck could this possibly? I'm confused. and it just shows you like the first half just does not really work. Like I said, this isn't the worst. This is a well done movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to set up the actual like villains, or at least you could at least set up the rich guy as the villain early on. You need to figure out, like, I don't know, maybe even set up the boyfriend
because it just introduced him and then he's gone.
Yeah, maybe even set up the boyfriend's working with the rich guy, because fuck it, it's not like I ever liked him. It'd be one thing if the boyfriend was a likable character, and then it'd be like, oh, but I never fucking liked him. So finding out that he's the bad guy, it's like, oh, good, we're gonna kill him, right?
Yeah, that's kind of like a horror trope too. Like, introducing a dick that you're going to root for to die.
Mm-hmm.
But I might have missed it. What was the millionaire's motivation to have
Didn't establish.
They didn't establish
his motivation for what?
They did later why he
the box.
with the box. They did because he wanted a sensation, I think.
Yeah, he chose sensation, but he wanted to get rid of it, so he needed new victims to get to the wish point so he could wish it out.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I do remember being a little. See, I was worried too much about the rent.
The rent was a very
hours after that. This must have been trouble.
Okay, we now have a new.
I had a calculator out. I was like, all right, so wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Okay, now
they're in Boston, Massachusetts. A place like that should cost something like this.
One of the biggest Facebook groups is now figuring out the rent in Hellraiser 2022.
All right, she's
There's
not
lots
paying
of
rent,
arguments.
so she's got to be on garbage duty if she's not paying rent. Who replaces the milk?
Or he's bathroom duty.
Yeah. Oh, the toilet needs cleaned out. Guess who's doing it? Yeah.
Well, CP, you had brought up something interesting earlier, how you thought it was a nice character point to bring up that she was a recovering addict. And I also like that point because they could use it to, like, have it work against her, be prayed against her.
Right.
They did.
Right.
One point in there, and it's actually in regard to one of the roommates, Nora. The only other time that we hear anything from her is how she's like, "Oh, we don't drink around her. Oh, we don't drink around her."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, me as someone who is a recovering alcoholic, can't people drink around me? I mean, people who will try not to. I guys don't change your behavior.
Yeah.
Because I am around. Personally, that line, I was like, "Fuck you, Nora." No.
Yeah.
Drink up. It's cool.
Hollywood has such like that. You could tell sometimes when movies they do no sort of research in a particular topic, and that is quite clear.
Yeah,
and she resorts to doing drugs. I think
pills. Yeah,
pills.
she finds like a stash in her car.
Yeah.
Which is funny. As soon as I saw her turn them up, and I went, guaranteed she's going to be right back out there for them.
Yeah.
And then a few minutes later, I was like,
Chekhov's pills.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. From my knowledge of addiction, people have a drug of choice or DOC.
Yeah.
If she's into narcotics, alcohol wouldn't be something you'd concern yourself with.
Yeah,
you have a brilliant point.
Too.
Yeah. And I mean, they even did another point of addressing it when he was in a lot of pain. Both of them had problems with the opioids. She handed the pills to the bad guy, to Colin, being her brother's boyfriend. It's like, here, you better hold on to these because these are really strong. That's also a nice one. I was just like, that's a nice point. I mean, that would just go under to like most the average movie watcher, but anyone who has any knowledge of addiction and substance abuse would see that as
right.
Now,
that's a true.
I do want to stress that Colin was one of the characters I liked pretty much from the get-go. That being said, I'm kind of surprised he survived after the injury he got here. I was just like, the fuck was that? And then he's just kind of walking around like, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it is.
What?
I thought that blade was supposed to kind of drug you a little.
Dude, opiates they're powerful.
Yeah, no,
they are
powerful, but
they are.
I wouldn't expect him to survive that, but yeah.
No. I mean, I was going to say at first I was thinking Trevor was getting off really light. And then we had that like scene at the end. And I went, oh, well, I'm actually enjoying watching this. Like I'm enjoying that this is happening to him.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess if you're looking for a final thought on Hellraiser 2022, I just don't have that strong opinions towards it. I'd say if you're a big fan of the franchise, maybe check it out. If you're a horror fan, maybe, but like the first half, meh. Take it or leave it.
It's better than the Mario
It has
trailer.
its moments.
Oh.
I still haven't gone around to seeing that. Everybody talks about, but yeah, I just haven't gone around to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is the box, is that supposed to be like a take on the monkey's paw?
I think it might be.
Kinda. I could see that. I don't know. I don't really recall a wish-making component to it. Maybe it's been a while since I've seen it, but...
Well, doesn't she not wish at the end because
she opts out because she wants nothing to do with it anymore.
Right. So
she doesn't want anything to do with any of them.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of.
Yeah, it's a monkey's kind of idea. Yeah, and I kind of assume that's what they're playing off of because it always like I mean that's what we've seen with the other people. Like you see in the first movie, the guy makes a wish and then he's fucked up and he's trying to fix it, and then you get the rich guy here who's got that shit through his chest. It's like okay,
I called that his Iron Heart.
True.
I mean, there's so many movies that have done some sort of variation on the monkey's paw.
Oh yeah.
And the one where I felt was the best and both the worst at the same time because it was wasted was The Box. I don't know if you've seen that with Cameron Diaz.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that.
Where Christopher Lee shows up with a box with a button in it, and he lays it down on the kitchen table and he says, if you push this button, you'll get $1 million, but one person will die. You have a day to make your decision. And then he says, if you choose not to, I will bring this box to somebody else and give them the same offer. And it gets you to think, wait, if I don't hit the button and somebody else does that mean that I'm the person that's going to die?
Yeah, it does kind of sound like that, yeah.
And they don't do that. And it's just like, why the fuck would you had such a good idea? It turns into this really, it takes a hard left, and it's just like, why call this movie The Box? What did you do?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least, have it be somebody that the person is pressing the button knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
In their life. Not like a spouse or anything like that. Like maybe like someone like your spouse's mother. Something like that.
The vagueness. Somebody will die if you hit this button. That was really, really neat and set up the tension of the choice, and the fact that he drops the line in, if you don't choose to hit the button, I'll bring this to somebody else. And it's like, oh, does that mean that I'm fucked if that person hits the button? Just a wasted opportunity, in my opinion.
No, it sounds
I
like
apologize,
interesting, but yeah,
dude. If you want to watch the first 15-20 minutes of The Box and then bail, because they don't pay any of it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see. Anything you guys want to add before we close out?
No.
All right. So that is the first for our completely, and probably our only completely horror themed episode for this month. Oh shit. I just closed out of it, but I want to add on Doug Bradley, who tweeted about this. I researched Doug Bradley on why he didn't do anything, why he wasn't involved with this movie. And I saw lots of mixed articles from spotty sources. So the only thing I'm going to quote is Doug Bradley's Twitter. And his response to Jamie Clayton is, "I'm a bit blown away by this. The clever redesign of the makeup, the shimmer of the pinheads, the palette, whatever that keyhole locket tracheotomy thing is at the throat, it's simple, subtle, disturbing, and sexy. Everything it should be. Peace and pain, Doug." So, there's lots of drama around, oh my God, why isn't he involved? He seems fine.
Dude, that is my interpretation of the horror community, especially online, is they're just as much fans of the actor that plays the major villain as they are the movie itself. Sometimes even more so. I've seen people say you can't do Nightmare on Elm Street anymore if Robert Englund's not going to do it, and it's like,
it's tougher, but you could.
Yeah.
You could. You just can't go full Jack Earl Haley though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Jackie Earl Haley should have worked, but
he should have. And I don't blame the actor for that.
No,
I blame the actor in the direction in the studio.
I kind of feel sorry for the actor because it felt like he was shooting up. He had Watchmen, and that was his next big one. It was like, oh, he's going places, and then it just stalled him out.
Yeah, a little too serious. But they're making Scream movies without Wes Craven, so it's strange. A lot of I would like to, but I can't explain the mentality of a lot of the horror community online and their allegiance.
It's all over the place. There's lots of people saying you can't recast certain roles. Obviously, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, Rob Downey Jr. is Iron Man. It's like, give them time. They will.
Yeah. It's
I think
odd.
Well, with horror, I think a lot of it is that these people, the fans in particular, they have ones that, that is who this character is, you don't get this debacle over Jason. You may hear some people
no one
say
can play Jason better. Except Kane Hodder.
But there were people who made things iconic that Kane borrowed from to make his interpretation of Jason better.
Yeah, right. I am in the minority of Friday the 13th fans who does not prefer the Kane Hodder version of Jason because he plays a zombified version of Jason, yet his biggest move as Jason is exhaling extremely prominently, and it's a zombie who's breathing very heavily.
My personal favorite is 2. Just the first interpretation.
Steve
The burlap
Dash.
sack is just way scarier.
Mm-hmm.
Way scarier, in my opinion.
Yep, stealing from the town that dreaded sundown.
Which is also a great
Mhm.
movie. And actually something I covered in my true crime series. The
Check that
Texarkana
out.
Killer.
Bobby Quarters on YouTube.
Oh, that was based on a real thing?
Oh yeah.
For
And
fuck's
not
sake.
that much evidence on it. I mean, this was like 50s.
Woo.
So like I had to do this one. I had to do some digging for.
Huh.
Everything else I could find pretty much a photocopied version of redacted case files as well as news reports. This one, not so much. Not so much reporting on it.
Well, let me put a pin in that. I'm gonna forget what I was gonna say, but I want to touch back to that for a split second. But I think the problem with modern day filmmaking is people get spoiled with actors playing a particular part.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, how many times in movies in the 80s and 90s growing up where somebody wasn't in the sequel because they didn't want to do it or whatever. You know, they weren't signed to multiple like franchise deals. So we had to deal with different moms for certain movies. And I mean, shit, Batman Begins, Katie Holmes is not
Maggie
returning.
Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. So, you know, in the last 15 years or so, everybody's been spoiled by actors just like being locked into that role. And it's kind of affected the way the mindset is.
I mean, Michael Keaton was great, but like they recast him fast and then they recast Val Kilmer fast too. It's like, without it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, they do it. Yeah, I mean.
So to go back to what you were talking about, Rob, I didn't know that you cover true crime stuff.
Yeah, I have one season out. I'm in the process of writing 2. I'm kind of reworking a couple of my season 2 episodes, but I covered them for broadcasting school. When they wanted me to do like 12 videos, I was like, crap, I just have those and then have 12 videos worth of content up. So I did 6 true crime ones and 6 corresponding podcasts with them.
How do you feel about America, or maybe everybody's infatuation with crime stories? Because I just watched the Dahmer series on Netflix.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of mixed opinions about it, and I agree with some of it. You know, the glorification of somebody who did such horrible things is
well, I think we've as a country we've always had a fascination with it almost.
Yeah.
But with it, it's always kind of something that is definitely wrapped up within our own history as a country too. I mean, bloodshed is definitely within our country's history.
Oh, sure.
That is for sure, even on our home grounds.
Happy Columbus Day, by the way.
Yeah.
Columbus was a saint. What are you talking about?
Speaking of, yes. In the city that bears his name, which I reside, yes. But
sorry,
you live in Cleveland.
No. No.
I didn't know you were from Spain. Wait, what?
But even like, there's like some cases that I even talked about in the first season. There was one in Cleveland, actually. It was one of Cleveland's most infamous unsolved mysteries, even still to this day. Elliot Ness couldn't crack it. It was torso murders, where this guy was pretty much dismembering people in like the downtrodden part of town and leaving it. So even small areas have their own histories, like how we were talking with Texarkana. That's something of local legend out there. You go out to California, you name it. There's what? Zodiac, Richard Ramirez, the Manson family, and it goes all over. And even one more of notoriety that I could, out of the many, is David Berkowitz in New York City in '77.
Son of Sam.
Son of Sam, yeah. Like that put a whole city, like New York City, shut it down. One man, one nutbag.
And you know what's funny? Everybody talks. I used to work literally down the block from the Amityville house. Everybody talks about the Amityville horror, the Lutzes, but if right before they moved in, some dude killed his entire family in that house. Like Ronnie DeFeo killed his mother, his father, his sister, his two younger brother and sister. Like some fucked up shit happened in that house. Never mind the scary ghosts and whatever the fuck they keep making movies about. Like
there's just bad energy there.
Yeah. The house always gets like resold every 5 years or so too. We had a guy up in Poughkeepsie who killed a bunch of prostitutes and kept them in his attic, but nobody made a big deal of it because he's black. It's kind of, I don't know what the choice behind not talking about that much is, but you know, in a world where we're starved for true crime stories, I never hear the story of Kendall Francois in Poughkeepsie, and that dude killed a lot of prostitutes, and it was kind of a big deal up there. Poughkeepsie's about maybe 60 minutes north of New York City.
Okay.
Poughkeepsie, you said?
Poughkeepsie, yeah. If you want, I can give you the story and the information and everything. It's certainly. Please be the first to cover it.
Yeah, forward that. Yeah, because there's one I'm scrapping that it got too heavy for me to read, and I took a break from working on it for a few months. I was wanting to cover shooters, and I was covering Elliot Rodger, and I had a download of his manuscript, and I deleted that file, and
How big is this manuscript?
Maybe it was about 100 plus, maybe. Like nutbag shit.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. How like the incel community looks up to him, and it just doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know what the fascination with it is. I think it's just kind of more of just I think it's similar to the fascination that people have and the I guess the internet fandom behind with like cryptids and like SPC Foundation and like, creepypastas and stuff like that. It's kind of more of like a look into like that unknown, the things that drive us with fear, the things that make us, that can scare us. And some people are more terrified of just, a lunatic hell-bent on killing people, like slasher movies. I think that's the appeal with that. Like the appeal with Michael Myers, he's just a guy with a knife.
Yeah. That's fictional, which I completely understand and absolutely am guilty of doing the same. It's just when people start idolizing and bringing up real life people that have done some crazy shit. It's just like, guys, what are you doing?
Well, with that school, they told me I still had to be entertaining with it, and I was choosing true crime, so they wanted me to try and make light of it. So you'll see in a lot of those that I'm making light jokes. I try to make it at the killer's expense at all costs, because I find it hard to joke about people who die.
Yeah, they already.
I thought you did a good job. I thought you had a couple of decent laughs that I thought.
Well, I mean, the first one I covered was a story of Ken Rex McElroy, which that's a story about some guy who just thought he was hot shit and pushed his weight around town. And one more thing, he was fond of marrying girls ages 12 to 14.
Oh,
according to Matt Walsh, that's fine.
I make a lot of jokes about him being a pedo and just a pedo piece of crap. The guy was just a piece of shit.
What is a woman?
Anyways, the whole town got sick of his shit eventually and circled him, opened fire. Nobody admitted a thing. That crime is still unsolved. So it's pretty much a story of how 30 people can keep a secret.
Yep.
But if you want true crime, you gotta check out Bobby Quarter's channel. Next week we have probably our most and least Halloween podcast coming up. We're gonna be talking about Halloween Ends.
Oof.
So Halloween right there, because that's gonna be it for that podcast. Because we also got the last 3 episodes of She-Hulk and the last 4 episodes of Rings of Power.
Yes.
yes. And I am behind on Rings of Power really far. I'm enjoying She-Hulk. This last batch is actually pretty good. But anything you guys want to add before we sign out?
No, I'm good.
No, thank you for having me for a horror themed episode.
Well, if you guys haven't yet, subscribe to Willie. Is it Wiliscredia?
Wiliscredia, Wiliscredia.
Let me point the right way. There we go. Subscribe to Wiliscredia. Subscribe to Bobby Quarters. Subscribe to Organized Chaos. Everyone have a good one. Time for our goodbye freeze frame.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't be.
Do you enjoy pain?
Pain don't hurt.